I don't think I'll ever forget this night. I'm 26 now, but I was only 12 when it happened. And even today, it still feels real when I think about it. My parents went out for the night and left me home with my older brother, Zach. He was 18 at the time. At first, I was excited. Having the house mostly to myself felt like a big deal back then. Before they left, Zach told me he was going out with some friends for a few hours and asked me not to tell our parents. I agreed. I trusted him, and honestly, I liked the idea of being alone. That excitement didn't last long. I ended up downstairs watching a scary movie, which was a terrible decision. Halfway through, I wasn't even paying attention to the movie anymore. The house itself started freaking me out. Every sound felt louder than it should have been. The floors creaking, the wind brushing against the windows. Even the fridge turning on made my heart jump. I kept looking toward the stairs, expecting to see someone standing there. Eventually, I shut the TV off and ran upstairs, feeling stupid for scaring myself, but still completely terrified. I brushed my teeth as fast as I could and went back to my room. To distract myself, I started playing Call of Duty Zombies on my Xbox 360. For a while, it worked. I lost track of time and forgot where I was. Then I heard the front door close. I assumed it was Zach coming back, but something felt off. Instead of heading upstairs like he usually did, I heard movement downstairs. Slow footsteps, quiet thumps. Sounds that didn't make sense. My stomach dropped. I went to my bedroom window and looked outside. Zach's car wasn't in the driveway. That's when the panic really set in. I didn't have a phone, and the house phones were downstairs. I locked my bedroom door, even though I knew the lock wouldn't stop anyone if they really wanted to get in. The only place that felt even remotely safe was the small crawl-in closet built into the wall of my room. I squeezed inside and slowly closed the door, trying to stay as quiet as possible. I kept telling myself I was overreacting, that it had to be my brother. Then someone tried my door. A moment later, it opened. Footsteps entered my room. I listened as someone walked around, the floorboards creaking under their weight. I could hear things being moved. At one point, something was dragged across the floor. I was frozen. I barely breathed. I was convinced the closet door was going to open, and that if it did, I wouldn't make it out alive. Eventually, the footsteps moved away. I stayed hidden for a long time, much longer than I needed to, until I finally heard Zach yelling my name from downstairs. His voice sounded angry and panicked. When I came out of the closet, he immediately started yelling, asking why I was in his room and what I had done to it. That's when it hit me. The person in the house earlier wasn't him. We searched the house together and realized someone had broken in. Drawers were open. Electronics were gone. Someone had been in our home while I was hiding just feet away. The police came and made a report. We waited until our parents got home around 4 in the morning. My dad was furious with Zach for leaving, me alone and leaving the front door unlocked. My mom hugged me and kept telling me she was just glad I was safe. Even now, thinking about that night makes my chest feel tight. Hiding in that closet, listening to someone walk around my room, not knowing if I would be found. It was the scariest experience of my life, and I don't think that fear ever really goes away. I was very young when this happened, not even old enough for kindergarten. At the time, I lived with my grandparents. My parents had just separated, and my dad worked in the next town over, so I only saw him on weekends. My uncle, my dad's brother, also lived with us, which meant I was rarely ever alone. I was always told one rule: never open the door for strangers. It was a small, quiet town where everyone knew each other, so that rule felt simple. We had a neighbor I'll call David. He was around all the time. He watched hockey and wrestling with my family, came to barbecues, drank beer with my uncle, and helped my grandpa with yard work and truck repairs. When my grandpa came home from hunting, David helped him haul meat into the shed. He felt familiar, trusted. One night, my grandma was at bingo and my grandpa went to pick her up. He asked if I wanted to come, but I stayed home to watch cartoons. Before leaving, he reminded me not to open the door for anyone. As soon as his truck pulled away, the house went silent. Only a few minutes later, someone knocked. I ran to the door and asked who it was. I heard David's voice. He said he had just seen my grandpa leave. I told him my uncle wasn't home either, and he said he already knew. Then he asked to come inside. I told him I wasn't allowed to open the door for strangers. He said he wasn't a stranger. He was our neighbor, someone I knew. In my child's mind, that made sense. I unlocked the door. David was drunk. He towered over me, swaying, slurring his words. He stepped inside and put his hands on my shoulders. I backed away, confused but not alarmed yet. When I tried to pull his hands off, he wouldn't let go. His voice changed. It became angry. I don't remember exactly what he said, only the fear I felt. He dragged me into the kitchen, grabbed a large knife, and pressed it against my stomach. He asked if I wanted to be stabbed. When I cried, he told me to stay quiet or he would cut my tongue or my throat. Then he dragged the dull side of the blade across my neck to show me he was serious. Suddenly, I heard a truck pull into the driveway. Relief hit me all at once. I was about to scream when David covered my mouth. My grandma walked in and froze when she saw him holding me with a knife. She screamed for my grandpa. My grandpa rushed inside, furious. David shoved me to the floor. My grandma grabbed me and held me tightly, blocking my view while telling me I was safe. I could still hear the struggle. Eventually, my grandpa overpowered him and forced him out of the house, screaming at him to never come back. As I got older, I realized how deliberate it all was. David had waited. He knew my uncle wasn't home. He knew my grandma was at bingo. He watched my grandpa leave. Years later, after my grandpa passed away, I mentioned that night to my grandma. She looked uncomfortable. She reminded me that my grandpa went hunting later that night. The police were never called, and I never saw David again. This happened during spring break in 2020. I was 15, while my parents were out of town. I got a call from someone I knew from school. I'll call him Mason. We weren't close, so the call surprised me. He asked what I was doing. I told him I was just at home. Then he asked if he could drop off our mutual friend, Neil, because Neil needed a place to stay for the night. I didn't want company and told him no. Mason begged. His voice sounded desperate. Eventually, he offered to let me use his weed pen if I let Neil stay. I agreed, which was incredibly stupid in hindsight. Neil had been acting strange at school, laughing randomly, saying bizarre things, claiming teachers and coaches were part of secret organizations. When they arrived, Mason looked shaken. Before leaving, he grabbed Neil by the shoulders and begged him not to do that thing. I should have asked what he meant. I didn't. After Mason left, Neil asked me if all the doors in the house were locked. That's when alarm bells went off. In the kitchen, I noticed him slowly opening the drawer with the knives. Without thinking, I rushed over and slammed it shut before he could grab one. He didn't react. He just smiled like it was a joke. At that moment, I knew my life might be in danger. I played it calmly and suggested we go outside. When he stepped out first, I locked the door behind him and immediately called my brother. Then I gathered every knife in the house and took them upstairs. My brother arrived within minutes with friends and met Neil outside. Later, I learned Neil had been experiencing drug-induced schizophrenic episodes. He believed he needed to kill himself or someone else to survive. If I hadn't paid attention in that kitchen, I was 10 years old when this happened. That afternoon, my mom was going grocery shopping and asked if I wanted to come with her. I remember making a big deal about not wanting to go. It was warm and sunny, and all I wanted to do was stay home and shoot hoops in the street. I told her nothing bad would happen and that she'd only be gone for a couple of hours. Eventually, she gave in and let me stay. As soon as her car pulled out of the driveway, I grabbed an old basketball from the garage and started shooting around. I played little games with myself, pretending I was down by one and taking a last-second shot. After a while, I stopped to catch my breath. I lazily bounced the ball and looked around the neighborhood. That's when I looked up at the house. In the upstairs window, someone was staring down at me. At first, it was just a shadow behind the glass, like someone standing back from the sunlight. I stared for a second or two, waiting for it to disappear. Instead, the shape shifted slightly. That's when I realized it wasn't a trick of the light. Someone was up there watching me. No one was supposed to be home. My sister was away at college. My dad was at work. My mom was across town. I dropped the basketball without even meaning to. The window was my sister's bedroom. The blinds were half open, and the figure was standing right behind them. I couldn't see any features, just the outline of a person. I didn't know what else to do, so I ran inside. I ran around the house, through the backyard gate, and slammed the door shut behind me. I yelled up the stairs, asking who was home. My voice cracked when I said it. For a moment, there was silence. Then a voice answered from upstairs. It said, "Rad, come upstairs." It wasn't my mom. It wasn't my sister. It wasn't my dad. The voice was deeper than any of theirs, but not exaggerated or threatening. It sounded like someone trying to sound normal. I didn't go anywhere near the stairs. I ran straight through the house, grabbed the house phone from the kitchen counter, and sprinted back outside. I called my mom and told her someone was in the house. At first, she didn't believe me. She told me not to joke about things like that. She said she was almost done shopping. Then I started crying. I told her I wasn't joking. I told her someone had called my name from upstairs and that I had seen them in the window. That's when she believed me. She said she was leaving the store immediately. After we hung up, a police car pulled up at the same time my mom's car turned into the driveway. She ran to me asking where I had seen the person. I pointed to the upstairs window. The police went inside first. My mom followed a minute later. I stayed outside, staring up at that window, terrified someone would appear again. After about 10 minutes, an officer came out and said it was safe. They searched the entire house, closets, under beds, behind furniture, even the attic. They found nothing. After the police left, my mom said she believed me, but I could tell she wasn't completely convinced. She warned me that if I had been lying, I would be punished for scaring her and wasting the police's time. That night, I had trouble falling asleep. At some point, I woke up in the middle of the night. It was still dark. I thought I'd had a bad dream until I heard a sound in my room. I sat up in bed. As my eyes adjusted, I could make out the shape of my dresser, my closet door slightly open, and something else. A tall, dark shape, standing completely still. For a split second, I thought my mind was playing tricks on me. Then it moved. It was a person. I didn't even have time to breathe. I screamed. As soon as I did, the figure moved fast. In just a couple of steps, it crossed the room, slid my window open, and jumped out. I heard his feet land on the small awning below. My parents burst into the room immediately. My dad ran to the window, then sprinted outside to look for him. He came back a few minutes later, out of breath, shaking his head. He didn't see anyone. The police came again, but this time it was just to file another report. We never found him. All I know is that he was in the house during the day long enough to learn my name, watching me from my sister's window. And later, he was standing in my bedroom while I slept. That's the part I still think about, not knowing how long he was there, or what else he did while no one was home.